102.15. Rev-Up St. Lucia. The alpha of radio.
It's now time for Meet the Opposition, hosted by Leonard Spider Montut. Mr. Montut, welcome once again.
Good morning, Andre, and it's a pleasure to be here for another episode of Meet the Opposition. Let me say a special good morning to our viewers and listeners. I want to say an especially special good morning to our people in the diaspora and other St. Lucians overseas. You know, there are some St. Lucians in parts of the world, Andre, where they have to stay up or lose sleep and so on because of the time difference. I want to express our appreciation that you still showing interest and concern about what is happening in your homeland, and we do appreciate that. So today, Andre, we going to have, I think what is going to be quite an interesting program. I will be having a guest later on in the show. But before I start, Andre, I must at this point take a moment to remember a friend. I consider him a good friend. And I don't know if I qualify to say a colleague, because people want me already, journalists. So, but I am speaking of Tony Paul, who passed last week, and this is a gentleman I got to know, and I've always found him to be so friendly, so affable, so polite, so courteous, so vivacious, actually,
right. Always
in good spirits, and especially since I've been coming here to Rev Up on a weekly basis. We always engage after the show. I go down there and we talk and, put his little pressure on me, ask me questions, I, tease him and that kind of thing. And I always enjoy my engagement with him. It's always in good spirits and so on. So it was indeed a shock for me when I heard the news on Friday, of his passing. Or was it Saturday morning I got the news of his passing. And, that was a real surprise because very often, almost on every occasion, I go downstairs and I meet Tony and we engage. But last Thursday, I went downstairs, I shouted him and I said, "Boy, Tony, I can't stop today because my brother has to go to the doctor at OKU today and the ambulance has to pick him up to take him there. And so I don't want the ambulance to get to my home before me, so I will be running, but we will talk." And that was the last. It's just, it just shows how fickle life can be. And it just shows too that sometimes you never know the time or the hour. But I want to take the opportunity as we are part of the Rev-Up family. So I want to take the opportunity to express my sincere condolences to the Paul family and in particular to you, Andre, on the passing of Tony. I'm sure he will be missed. And, the media fraternity is poorer for his loss. So, may his soul rest in peace and may you all find the strength and courage to, deal with that loss.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, back to Meet the Opposition now. Andre, it was a very eventful week, past few days, I should say, not week. Very eventful past few days. The week started last Sunday with this massive rally that the United Workers' Party held in Miku. And first, I want to talk about the turnout. I remember that this rally was supposed to have been held on the 17th of August at the William Peter Boulevard. But because the day before, the Saturday, there was a shooting in town where people got killed, innocent people got shot and so on. And knowing too that on that day, the SLP will be having a major event, the United Workers' Party took a decision that, look, first of all, for the safety of people, the audience that will be turning out, given the fact that Castries was hot, like the young people say, they would not go along with the event. Besides, there were two major events by the two parties, and we felt that the resources of the police would have been stretched, and they wouldn't want to divert the attention of the police from what was happening in Castries, providing the necessary security and investigating the matters to have them focus and attend to our rally in the boulevard. And so I felt that was a very good, and of course out of respect for those who had lost their lives and those who were suffering, as a result from the incident. I thought that was a very apt, very good decision that was taken. Only to find out on Sunday, Andre, that there was another good reason why that meeting was best postponed and transferred to Miku. Because I'm telling you, when I saw the turnout in Miku, and well, the people probably couldn't know that, but there was no way the Boulevard would have accommodated that crowd that was in Mico on Sunday.
Wow.
And so it was a massive turnout. I mean, you expect it. You heard the opposition make all kinds of comments. Philip Pierre said there were another 1,000 people. I heard Kenson Kazimi say that there were more people in the town hall meeting in Babonneau than there was. I heard Champagne say that we only had 600 people and so on. But, I mean, sometimes we go too far in trying to make a point, and we end up looking and sounding disingenuous. And it sometimes challenges our credibility when we do things like that. Because let me just say something to you. I did not go down there in any motorcade because I was the MC for the event. And so I had to be there early. And I said to myself, I'm not taking any chance to follow any motorcade and end up being late and they have to be waiting for me and so on. So I went early to ensure that I didn't get caught in any motorcade, because you had motorcades all along the way. And so I got there pretty early, before 4. And so when I got there, and if I had taken a shot, and there were people there, but perhaps it was about 1,000 people present. So if I wanted to be malicious or mischievous, I could have taken a shot and say that is the crowd. But by the time the event began, Andre, people started descending on Mico. The motorcades started arriving and so on. That Mico playing field was like a sea of yellow. And I'm telling you, the hierarchy of the United Workers' Party could be nothing but pleased and satisfied. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all those who made the time, made the effort to be there and were present and show their support. I want to thank them very much. Much gratitude from us to you. And I also want to say, Andre, when we have events, I usually monitor social media, because we have quite a few people listening, people who cannot make it to the event for whatever reason. They monitor what's going on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And we have quite a number of people in the diaspora who are actually showing interest in what's going on here. So I said, well, today, boy, I expect social media to be very low, because I figure everyone is at Mico. But when I checked social media, on Facebook we had over 1,000 viewers, and on YouTube we had over 3,000 viewers. So that event got a lot of coverage. I think it was well followed, and that says something positive for the UWP. And so the UWP seemed to be attracting, the attention and the support that is needed as an alternative government. And they used the opportunity. Sunday being the 7th of September, it marked the anniversary, the 16th anniversary of Sir John's death. And Sir John was a founding leader of the United Workers' Party, spent many years at the helm of the United Workers' Party, and so much so he spent many years in government as Prime Minister as well, so much so that he's considered to be the father of the nation. And let's not remember, it is in Denry Mico his political career began, and it ended in Mico as well. His last days as parliamentary representative, though it was Mico South, but the Micos, he had a lot to do with the Micos. So I think it was apt to have honored the memory of Sir John on that occasion as well. And so his name was mentioned and tributes were paid to him. And I think that was in order. That was one of the highlights to me.
You mentioned Champagne earlier. What's going on with him?
Well, what's going on with Champagne is that Champagne has been a long-standing member of the party. I think I can go as far as calling him a stalwart of the party. And he offered himself, well, not just this cycle, but before, to be a candidate. I think the first time he offered himself, Fortuna was chosen over him. He offered himself again to be the candidate. And Peter Chico, ended up being the chosen candidate. And obviously he was upset with that decision. And since then there has been a fallout between himself and the party. He has been very critical. He has been, should I say, belligerent. And so he has been making some comments, unfortunate comments, I think, and so on. But I will touch on that a little later, Andre, when we talk about the events of the week, how people react when things don't go their way and so on.
Okay.
And that's what's happening with him, as far as I know.
Okay.
But apart from the tribute to...
But he's still a member of the party? He's still involved?
He's still a member of the party,
okay.
yes.
All right.
Yeah, he has not resigned and he has not been expelled, so he's still a member. So a highlight for me was the presentation of the entire slate of 17 candidates at Mico. And so we had been officially presented with 12 endorsed candidates. And although we knew, those who are following knew, well, who is the person for Castries North, who is the person for Castries South, who is the person for Vieux Fort North, whom I will have here on my show in a while, and who is the person for Micoud North and so on. They were not officially endorsed and presented to the public. And so to complete the slate, 5 candidates were officially endorsed and presented to the general public. And so it completed what I consider to be a very impressive lineup of candidates, to form the United Workers' Party's team for the upcoming general election. When I look at the diverse background and experience of that team, I find it to be very impressive, and it will augur well for St. Lucia if Alan Chasney brings that team into government. I know that will make a big difference in terms of the kind of governance that we will have in St. Lucia. So for the benefit of the general public, I will just mention the 5 that were presented on Sunday, if I can remember off my head. They were Stephen Fevrier for Castries North, was Tommy Descartes for Castries South, Kix Xavier for Vieux Fort North, Elisha Norbert for Micoud North, for Micoud North, and Benson Emil for Denry South. Benson Emil for Denry South. Those were the candidates who were presented, and that completed the slate of 17. And so we had the full lineup at Micoud presented to the general public, and that is the slate. May I just add, by the way, I realized that the SLP could not come up with a full slate of 17. They are talking about winning all 17 seats, but there are only 15 candidates. And even among their 15 candidates, they had to fire some sitting MPs to bring in new candidates, because obviously within themselves they are admitting that those people were failures. Otherwise, why would you change them? And even in that, they ended up with some rejected UWP candidates, Andre, and I'll talk about that in a while as well. But just to mention to the general public, those of you who are not following keenly, it is not news to many of you, but just to mention, the slate of candidates for the UWP are Marcella Johnson for Grosile, Titus Preville for Babono. I didn't mention Titus. Titus was presented on Sunday
as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Titus Preville for Babono, Stephen Fevrier for Castries North, Rush Clark, Castries Central, Peter Chico, Castries East, Tommy Descartes, Castries South, Guy Joseph, Castries Southeast, Dominic Fede, Ancillary Canaries, Herod Stanislas, Soufre Fonsaint-Jacques, Bradley Felix, Swazel Saltibus, Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, Labrie Auger, Bradley Marcel Fulgence, Denry North, Benson Emil, Denry South, Elisha Norbert, Micoud North, Kix Xavier, Vieux Fort North, Liana Johannes Paul, Lady Lee, Vieux Fort South. And that is the slate, of course, led by Alan Michael Chasney for Micoud South. That is the slate of the 17. Now, what the mistake I made earlier, Andre, I mentioned 5, but I included Elisha Norbert. Elisha Norbert was presented earlier in the year in Denry, when we had our rally in Denry for Micoud North. It was Titus who was going to make up the 5, other than Tommy Descartes, Stephen Fevrier, and Benson Emil, Kix Xavier, and Titus. Those were the 5 that were presented. So the United Workers' Party has completed its slate of candidates, and they were on stage and so on. I was also very impressed, Andre, with the fact that, quite apart from all the hype and the excitement and so on, it was a celebration, really, celebrating the memory of Sir John, celebrating, the fact that the full slate is being presented. And deep down inside, I know a lot of people were celebrating that large, massive crowd that they had there too. Of course, you would. But while it was a celebration, I think for me, it was very important that there was an announcement by the political leader, Honorable Alan Chasney, of 7 policies to save our St. Lucia. They call it the 7 to SOS. 7 policies to save our St. Lucia. Now, that is in addition to some policies that have already been enunciated by the UWP, and it is a forerunner to other policies that will come as the campaign unfolds.
Do you have the 7 with you?
I do, yes. And so the United Workers' Party is saying that a United Workers' Party government will introduce NHI coverage for all, that is National Health Insurance for all. And I did hear the leader of the opposition mention as well that with that National Health Insurance coverage, every St. Lucian will be covered, and people will be getting up to $75,000 of coverage. So there'll be no more cake sale and raffles and boat rides.
Country and Western.
Yeah, and Country and Western.
Fundraising. Yeah.
That's right, the fundraising. So, and secondly, number 2, it will be not necessarily in that order, but I'm just going to read the 7 to you. It will be reintroducing border control and expanding the K9 unit. When they say expanding the K9 unit, it will not just be the 1 unit, and so on. From what I've gathered, there'll be more than one. So even when they're on the roadblock and dog will be there to sniff your car and whatever to detect, ammunition, money, and so on. So they'll be expanding the K9 unit and reintroducing border control. Number 3, they would pay pensions to banana farmers who did not pay NIC. Okay? Now,
repeat that one.
They will be paying a pension to banana farmers who did not make contributions to NIC. If they were contributing to NIC, they will have a pension because you get a little kakada, as they call it, from NIC every month. But most of our self-employed people do not pay NIC. Now you may say that's through their fault. However, we must remember that our economy, our country, to a great extent, was built on the backs of those banana farmers in the days of green gold. They contributed significantly to the economic progress of our and development of our country.
So this will come from the NIC?
From the NIC, yes. So the government will go and do the arrangement with the NIC to ensure that those banana farmers do get a payment. And it was also said too that those who are deceased, their families will get a one-time payment, right, in their memory. So a contribution to the family to show appreciation for the contribution that they made.
Okay, so those banana farmers' wives, that's right, who are still alive,
yes,
will get a lump sum payment.
That's right, a one-time lump sum payment. Now, this, because you have to realize when with the days of green gold in the 80s and 90s and so on, I mean, those people are elderly people right now, those who are still alive and can hardly do anything for themselves. And I think it's only fair that the state see after them after they have made their contribution. Okay, the 4th one is free tertiary education at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. So every student at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College will be attending for free. They will not have to pay tuition or anything like that. I think that's a very big initiative in terms of benefit for the young people. That doesn't mean, I don't know if they allow people like us to go to Arthur Lewis, Andre, but we know it is mostly young people who pursue higher education. So they will be benefiting tremendously from that. 5, UWP government will remove the 2.5% levy. Now that 2.5% levy was introduced by the St. Lucia Labour Party a couple of years ago, and they told us it was for health and security, which we found out was a lie. It was a requirement to secure a loan and so on. And even if it was for health and security, we know that if I ask you right now, Andre, the 2 worst areas in this country in terms of government performance, it is security and health. So in other words, they're taking that money for us and we're not seeing any improvement. Those areas have gone worse. So the UWP will remove that tax on people because it has made cost of living higher and caused, inflation, additional inflation in St. Lucia. Now, this one is very interesting, Andre. They are going to, a UWP government will remove the dam dredging fee for residents of the South. Now, I have to explain this one. The St. Lucia Labour Party, when in government previously, introduced a fee for the dam, the water dam that is in Roseau, because as we have been told over the years with all the rain, and especially since we are clearing the forest and exposing the soil and so on, there's a lot of soil, silt, coming down into the dam, and it's filling up the dam. Now you would appreciate, Andre, as the dam becomes full with silt, the amount of water the dam can retain becomes less. Okay?
Yeah.
So if we want to have the full capacity, we have to dredge the dam, and that's a very expensive undertaking. So they introduce a fee. Now, I'm not saying it's not a good thing because the money must come from somewhere. But the thing about it is, Andre, you know that the Roseau Dam provides water to us in the north of St. Lucia.
Mhm.
The people of the south have no benefit from the Roseau Dam. They do not get water from the Roseau Dam, but they are paying a fee for the dredging of the dam, and we think that's unfair. So a UWP government will be removing the dam dredging fee, not DAM, and dam DAM. They're removing the dam dredging fee for residents of the south. And number 7,
But just 1 second.
yeah,
Why would the Labour Party administration, by the way, was that a recent thing?
no, it was done in the previous thing, like
Okay.
when they were in government before 2016.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I imagine your administration kept it there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we are saying now, I mean, given the hardship that people are facing, and what people don't realize is that the people in the south are facing it particularly difficult. In the north, it's a little easier. There's more development, more job opportunities, and everything in the north, because nothing has been done in the south, Andre.
But Mr. Mutut, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this.
Why would you make the people pay?
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, it was an across-the-board thing, and we recognize that, and that is why we are removing it. You know,
When you say across the board, meaning what?
when I say everybody
Residents in
Lucia,
the north had to pay
everybody in
as
St.
well.
Lucia were paying it. So we're saying the people in the north can pay it because they're going to benefit from it, but the people in the south should not pay it. Okay, so we're giving the people in the south some reprieve. And
I must have gone to Mars. I don't recall.
yeah, well, a lot of these things are sneaked in on us, and if they give you $1, Andre, social media, mainstream media, everybody, billboards, everything, but when they take it from you, they don't announce it.
Wow.
And so the last one is
So you say so you administrate, well, if of course you win the next election,
right.
saying that you understand maybe what residents in the north paying it, or everybody is going to be removed.
No, residents in the north will continue to pay.
Okay, it's just the
It's
south.
necessary, and it has to be financed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that makes sense, because when I say makes sense, meaning the people in the south are not benefiting from
Exactly.
it. Why should they be paying?
True. And I don't know. I mean, don't forget.
And how much are we paying, by the way?
I don't know what the fee is. It's a 10%. It's a 10% of your bill.
So so it automatically is included
It's
in the
included
bill.
in your bill. It's an
Wow.
additional 10%.
Okay.
So whatever your bill is, 10%.
I see.
10%. So their bill will be reduced by 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So. And Andre, the final one.
So,
benefits
so hold
all
on,
of
sorry.
us.
So if your bill is $20 a month, so you're going to be paying
$18, yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Well, at least you save $2, right?
That's true. And Andre, the final one is that, which I welcome to, they are going to reduce the price of gas to reflect the price of gas of fuel or oil rather on the international market, because we are paying an artificially high price for fuel in St. Lucia when oil prices have gone down internationally. The government of St. Lucia has kept the price of gas at the pump artificially high and extorting St. Lucians and taking money out of our pocket for the treasury. The UWP's approach is that money will be better utilized and more effective in the pockets of the people of St. Lucia, so your gas bill will go down when that is done. Remember, even when gas was high, the UWP capped the price of gas at $13.95.
Mm.
Now, the price of gas is even lower, much lower than it was ever when we were there. The price is $16. At one point, it was $17.95. Now, it is $16. Still unacceptably high. The UWP will do something about it. Upon assuming government will reduce the price. So these are the 7 areas.
The reduction will be what? Based on market prices and so on, this sort of thing?
Yeah, but even with the market price, they're going to cap it. So it will not go past a certain amount.
So what about the controversial $1.50? Because that's the controversial
Well,
one.
the $1.50, even with the $1.50, Andre, you're not paying more than $13.95 on the UWP. So the $1.50 is for roads. And I can tell you, as a parliamentary representative for Grosley, people from Grosley cannot complain. They got more than the $1.50 worth in terms of roads. We had over 70 roads upgraded in Grosley during my tenure. Over 70 roads. And I'm saying we want better facilities, we want better amenities, we want better conditions. It has to be paid for. The money must come from somewhere. And so, I don't mind if I see the results of my taxes, but the high prices we're paying for gas, the extra amount, because from $13.95, let's call that, for the sake of my poor maths, let's call it $14. You're paying $16. That's $2 more, Andre, on every gallon, Yeah, that's $2 more on every gallon. And I mean, can you imagine how much money I'll be saving in a month, given the fact that I purchase cooking gas, I purchase, although cooking gas is subsidized, but I put gas in my vehicle all the time and so on. It is a big savings that I can do well with, So, and not just me. Can you imagine minibus drivers? Can you imagine all those people? And remember, when the price of fuel is high, it affects everything else. What do you think? Why do you think you pay twice the amount for a loaf of bread? It was 25 cents, now it's 45 cents. So all of those things, I think these are good policies that St. Lucians should welcome, because it's going to make a difference in their lives. So, Andre, I don't want to spend much more time on this here, because I have a guest, and I want to bring on my guest right now. And so, I want my listeners and viewers to have as much time with my guest as possible, as I welcome to our studio here on Meet the Opposition, Mr. Kix Xavier, the endorsed candidate for the United Workers' Party for the constituency of Vieux Fort North. He was officially endorsed and presented to the public on Sunday. Welcome to Meet the Opposition, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome,
Good morning,
Mr. Kix.
Good morning, Vieux Fort North.
Nice. He doesn't forget Vieux Fort North.
I always like to say Vieux Fort North and Vieux Fort South, because we are like brothers and sisters. We depend on one another.
Okay. So, Mr. Xavier, that's your first time on?
Yes, it's my very first time on Meet the Opposition, because remember, I was not a politician before.
That's right.
Although I don't even like to be referred to as a politician, I would rather be referred to as a statesman, because of what I've seen is happening in the past.
Andre is there saying, fellows like Spider and them did such a bad job with politics that people are afraid to call themselves politicians.
I don't think so. Is that true, Mr. Kix? I would not say, I would not go that way and say that, because I don't really know. Sometimes it's not all what you see is the truth, or not all what you hear is the truth, because then again, the game of politics, people just say things to try to assassinate your character. When they cannot get anything on you, they will get some make-up story to try to assassinate your character. So if I hear something about Spider, I would make sure that I try to get my information from credible sources, instead of just listening to a talk show host who has his own agenda. So that's just what it is.
Now let me just say something to you, Andre. That's not the typical St. Lucian,
Yeah, no, but
maybe it's because he was a police officer.
But I know better.
Yeah. But we are happy to have you, and I won't spend much time, because you were introduced on Sunday. You have been introduced previously. We know that you are a former police officer. How many years did you spend in the
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
I spent almost 30 years in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I served in various capacities in 2 police stations that I did not work at. Was Grosley.
I know that for sure.
And I didn't work Rodney Bay, the substation. But I have worked at every other police station in St. Lucia.
I see. And
various units.
When I came on the scene, the kind of introduction I needed, you don't need that. Because every St. Lucian knows Kakal.
Yeah.
Quite apart from knowing him as a police officer, we know him as a very prolific, very impressive Calypsonian as well. So we know him on the Calypso stage as well. So there goes. I'm always curious to find out, what brought you here? You left policing and you jumped into politics. With all the negatives we hear about politics, with all the nastiness, I will say it as it is, nastiness that goes along with being in politics, and not just for you, but the people are close to you and around you, your family and so on. It takes a toll on them as well.
Yes.
What attracted you to politics?
I want St. Lucians to understand something. I never thought that I would be here 6 months ago. I didn't want to go there at all. Even as a police officer, I heard so many things about me that I never knew. That I used to ask myself, am I Kix or am I Kix Xavier? Because I'm hearing certain things about myself. And it is when I did my research, I did my investigation, all that was coming from the SLP camp. Even when I entertained, I went and I sang on stage, I was being attacked. And it was like, it's a democratic country. You want to instill fear in me? And that's one thing I will say, Andre, nobody, absolutely nobody will instill fear in me. This is a democratic country. I have my constitutional rights. I know them, and nobody will infringe on them. There may be persons that are scared because that's what they do. They try to intimidate you so you won't speak, you won't act. So this is not the MO of a government. This is an MO of a mafia. It is not the MO of a government. As a police officer, while serving the nation, and I said it on Sunday, I took an oath to protect and serve. As I served, I served the people with all my heart. I realized that I had to protect these very same people from the government that we have here now, and which is the SLP government. And I'll go as far as telling you, as I said before, and I'll say it again, this is not a government. That is not the aim of a government. That description, no. And what they stand for, that's not a government. I found myself hearing certain things that were completely lies. I saw the character assassination of several persons that I know better. Number one, our political leader, Alan Chasney. I saw a lot of lies, and imagine if I didn't know better, I would believe the lies too, because it's been said over and over and over and over. But and even Guy Joseph, from the point where I sit as a police officer, I can tell you I have not seen or heard of any report against Guy Joseph. Criminal reports against Guy Joseph. I'm not saying that there may not be somebody who attempted to make a report and they investigated and found out that's not true. But I have not seen that at all. Alan Chasney, I have not seen that at all. As far as I'm concerned, Alan Chasney was the one who stood for me, stood up with me, carried out some investigation. He gave instructions to carry out some investigations on some of the allegations that I made as it pertains to corruption in the police force. I stood up against corruption in the police force. I will not go into the details, which I can go into the details because I have enough evidence, but I will not go into the details. I stood up for that. I saw smoke screens. I saw a lot of things that has been done to the St. Lucian public, and I believe that they deserve better. Can I stay and just see it happen, and I know one day it will hit my doorstep? I could not. I could not just stay and see it happening to families, and it's like there is no justice in this country, as I said, it's like they hijacked justice in the country. At one point in time, one person from a particular political party can commit a crime, and that person will not even face the courts. That's the way I see it's heading down, and we need to stop that. It's like the police force is so politicized that they run the agendas of a particular political party, because these persons were in some of the executive positions that they placed them there to promote their people and their agendas. I mean literal promotion too. When I say promote, I'm talking about literal promotion too. So you'll find certain persons that go out there and they are the voice for the SLP will get promoted before the hard-working officers. I work with them, Andre, and I can tell you a lot of police officers are being victimized, they are being sidelined, and they are waiting for, and remember I said that to you, they are waiting for election day. These officers will make their voices be heard on election day because of what the Labour Party has turned the Royal St. Lucia Police Force into. I know police officers, there was a promotion process where the last commissioner, it was held on the last commissioner, we did the interview, that was, that's before Miss Pelly, so that was under the leadership of Mr. Commissioner Daisy, and also before Mr. Monsheri, there was a process. And there were certain persons who were placed on a waiting list to be promoted. Imagine you went through the entire process and you were placed on a waiting list. And then the present commissioner, Mr. Ferngard, comes in, and within less than 3 months, promotions were made. A lot of promotions were made. And these very persons who were on the waiting list were never promoted.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of injustices, a lot of things that does not sink well in the police force. That's happening now, and that is why the morale of the men have been broken so low. It's like irreparable. And persons heard me singing on stage, and some of my lyrics before I sang that song, I sang Jackass, and I also sang the Quarry song. At that point in time, Andre, I did not know I would be sitting here taking an interview with you and Spider on Media Opposition.
So you're saying at that point you had no interest in politics?
No, not at all. Only once someone from the SLP camp called me in 2021 before the election, and they asked me if I could run the Mikoudno seat. And I told them within minutes, no.
Why Mikoudno?
Well, I'm originally from Mikoudno.
Oh, okay, all right.
They wanted me to run the seat against Gail Rigobert, and I told them no. So it may not be from the head itself, but it's persons recruiting people to come in. And he asked me why. I said, my philosophies and your philosophies do not line up. Because when I look at my country, you all have placed my country in the state that it is now. Because of your mentality of that handout thing. I don't believe in handouts. I don't want no handouts from the government. Create an environment of growth for businesses and us persons in the communities so we could get our sustainable incomes to take care of ourselves. You cannot get loans on handouts. You cannot send your children to school on handouts. You cannot buy sufficient groceries and pay your bills on handouts.
So how would you describe handouts? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Andre, do you believe you as an individual, if you were given an opportunity to have a job to give you sustainable income, that you would want as a female to get a gas tank from the government, a $250 grocery voucher from the government, or sanitary napkins from the government? Isn't that scarring the dignity of our ladies? And I am saying this in itself is direct proof that the government has failed. Because if you did create an environment of growth for businesses and there was more economic activity, persons would benefit and they don't need to come to you for the handouts.
Meaning they will get employment, is what you're saying.
Yes, for employment they would be getting.
Now, if I can just come in here, Andre, I'm totally with him now. As a former Minister of Social Transformation, I fully support him, okay, in that the approach that the UWP has is the better approach. We understand that there will always be people who cannot fend for themselves, the elderly, the disabled, what have you. And the state must put things in place, that the social safety net programs to take care of them. So that is not what we're talking about.
Exactly. I wanted to reach that point, but you just...
I just want to make it clear because people will quickly run ahead and say, Calix,
No. I was about to say that because I have everything here. I have the documents here. I am saying to you, there are certain persons like the disabled who cannot find for themselves. So the government have to put certain things in place for them. I agree with that. I agree with that. There are certain persons who probably just going through some hardship. They lost their jobs. I think they can turn to the government for some assistance. But not healthy, able, young men and women of the country, of the working age that not contributing towards the workforce. I don't agree to that. I don't subscribe to that. And even if the minimum wage that they effected is cannot adequately assist persons, I still feel they need some assistance from the government in whatever way. But you see the vision of Alan Chasney, especially for the South. I came here to talk for the opposition, but it's island-wide. But I am concerned about the South of the island. For 30 years, I can recall clearly for 30 years, there have not been any transformation in the South. Every piece of infrastructure in the South was developed by the UWP administration. And everything that was shut in the South was by the SLP. Let's go with the ports. That port we had in Vieux Fort provided employment for so many stevedores. Yesterday I was having a conversation with one and he told me that he made more money than a custom officer during the time of bananas or when they had to offload boats. We have the airport redevelopment project, that came to a grinding halt in the South. We have the hospital that would even have the persons in the St. Jude's highway area, the people in Uranura Orchard, Cedar Heights. These persons benefited so much from the medical schools, and the plan was to develop the economic activity in that area through the medical school and also the state-of-the-art hospital. These persons would, now I am sure, because I have links in real estate, many of these rental spaces, they are void. And we had a state-of-the-art hospital and an 80-year-old hospital that they didn't listen. And that's why I tell you, they're proving themselves wrong. God is a great God, you know. When Mr. Chasney did the assessment of the 80-year-old building and he saw it was not feasible to continue with that project, he said, well, okay, he had to face the hard choices and build a new hospital, a modern hospital, and he would use that other part for the school, the medical school or whatever they want to use it for. All what was said, and even before last election, I almost believe the guys, the lies that came right after the order to everybody, I almost believe them. Now, the very hospital that was destroyed by fire cannot pass the fire test after spending $250 million, where the modern hospital would only use $50,000 to complete it. So that means you have spent over $50 million. So that means you have spent an excess of $200 million in something that we cannot use. And I have roads in Vieux Fort North. And you know who's responsible for the hospital, Ministry of Health? Mr. Moses Musasha Baptiste.
Who is Moses Musasha Baptiste? Let our people know.
Mr. Moses Musasha Baptiste is the parliamentary rep for Vieux Fort North. That's the
and where's the
gentleman.
And where's the hospital?
It's in Vieux Fort South, but he's responsible for it. Right?
Yeah.
And I am saying to you, his community is our community, because I'm part of it, is in a mess. His road to his home is like carpet. The road before the road to his home, the junction before the road to his home is in a mess. The road after the junction to his home is in a mess. And it continues up and down.
Well, you see, some of you all say you all come to serve, but there are those who don't tell us it's self-service.
I don't know, but there is an awakening which is happening in Vieux Fort North. I'm happy to see it. An awakening is happening in Vieux Fort North and also Vieux Fort South. I want to say to the people of Vieux Fort, both North and South, Labour par bon pouzo. The Labour Party, the combination of the Labour Party and Vieux Fort has not worked for over half a century. And I do not know if it is something like a lot of persons are saying, boy, I suspect that thing is more spiritual than just a normal thing, because I do not know how some right-thinking person could ever vote Labour in Vieux Fort again, both North and South, after the atrocities that they have leveled against the people of the South.
Sorry to disturb you, Kakal, but I think you need to mute your phone.
Okay, not a problem, sir. I think I did that already, so...
Yeah, but talking about that, I mean, Andre, he said for the better part of 50 years, you have to remember, UWP has never represented Vieux Fort North, and the last representative of Vieux Fort North for the UWP was Eldridge Stevens in 1982. And so...
That's Vieux Fort South.
Vieux Fort South.
Yeah.
The last representative of Vieux Fort South for UWP was. So I know Girodi sometime before that, but the last person was Eldridge Stevens. And since then, throughout that time, it has been the Labour Party representing that part of the country. And so he's making a valid point. And in the last 20 years or so, the SLP has been the party predominantly in government, you know. Between 97 and now, the SLP has spent 20 years in government. 20 years in government. And look at the condition of the South.
Yeah, the South is in a mess. The South is in a mess. Sometimes I even sit and think, I'm saying to myself, but you know, sometimes when you get a promotion at work, persons look at the money and they don't look at the responsibility. I have to look at the responsibility before I made that decision to say I want to run the Vieux Fort North seat. And Andre, it's not going to be an easy task for me. It's not going to be an easy task for me. Imagine you have someone who give you a vehicle and that person run down the vehicle and then you saying to yourself, I want that vehicle back and I want to fix it. The person bursts the suspension. It's like the Labour Party bursts the suspension of Vieux Fort North. They destroy the lights, the electricals, the engine, everything. And you have to take that back and fix it. It's not like you're coming from somewhere where there was growth or you were at a level where you could bring it up to another level. You're starting from zero. And that's what the Labour Party. When I am originally from Mikurandji, and I can say to St. Lucia, I've seen the glory days of this country. I know the banana farmers during that time. They had the economy at a certain level where even in Mikud village, there was a bank. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember.
There was a bank. There was a Barclays Bank in the Mikud village. And you know why John Compton found it fitting to put that bank in Mikud village. There was money in circulation and people from Mikud had to go down to Vieux Fort, crowding the banks and the streets on a Friday. And for me, well, Vieux Fort North too. We're looking at OG, Barnes, these areas, the old banana growers also, banana farmers, they did what they were supposed to do. They had the nicest pickups with the FARs and they had the biggest wall houses, and even so much someone who studied and they had a doctorate and was working for the government once told me, Kakal, you know, the banana farmers, they used to call them illiterates, but these guys used to make more money than me for masters and also a doctorate. When I used to make a little $7,000, these fellas used to clock 20,000 plus, you know, 25 sometimes. Some banana farmers who had very, very large fields and workers, right? And for us to reach in that state now, I can't understand. Yes, we could say we are not leaning towards farming in Vieux Fort North anymore. The farmers have abandoned their fields. You were the minister of, Moses Musa Shabatis was the minister of agriculture for a full term. What was his legacy in Vieux Fort North? There is no agro-processing. There are not even fields to produce to do agro-processing. Right? There are our water sources, they are adequate. We have rivers that could supply water to all farms. Right? But that combination was just disastrous. Mr. Moses Musa Shabatis, the fertile soil of Vieux Fort North, the farmers, And being the Minister of Agriculture, that combination was disastrous because I could see they left the farms. And even more so, they left the farms, and we say we all about tourism. What have you done as a representative of Vieux Fort North, where we hold two majestic waterfalls? You don't know that, Andre? I'm saying it to you. We have two waterfalls, or more than two waterfalls, one in Grace, and we have one in Bellevue. What job opportunities have you created for the youth in that community? I'm asking the questions. And you're wondering why there is so much crime in Vieux Fort?
Yeah.
Our infrastructure is in a mess. I have here some of the real... Okay, we have the infrastructure in a mess. We have the neglect of farmers and fishers. Are you aware that the fishers cooperative in Vieux Fort, where they sell the fish where the fishermen sell the fish to that complex, is closed? We have deplorable roads. I was driving through the Vieux road, and I had to reverse. That's the main road, Andre, I'm talking about. The main road. I cannot pass through the main road with an SUV. And this is an agricultural belt. Vieux Fort North is an agricultural belt. We're starting from Vieux to Bellevue and also Grace. I wonder how Moses Musa Shabat is just sleep at nights as a leader.
But can I say something? Why should they do anything when you always vote for SNP anyway?
I want to say that much. I want to say that much,
Yeah.
Andre. I've been on the ground, and I'll tell you something. I don't think these people are really lean towards the SLP, and their policies. I believe that these people needed an alternative. Not saying that I'm trying to undermine anybody before me. I believe that they needed an alternative. And when, like I'm doing here today, I'm not going to only criticize what I see that's happening. I will tell them my plan and my vision, which will be in alignment with the UWP policies as to what we're going to do in Vieux Fort North for them. And it's going to be smart. We're not going to do any unrealistic, we're not going to give them any unrealistic expectations. We're going to tell the people of articulate to the people of Vieux Fort North our plans for them on what we're going to do. And that's what I've been doing for the past few weeks.
Yep.
We have poor lighting conditions. And you know, I always say God works. When the SLP administration tried to politicize everything, it will come back to haunt you. A number of the residents of Vieux Fort North have been calling me and telling me, hey, they want a light pole over there. They have spoken to the minister a million times. He's not doing anything for them. And I always tell them, go back to him, because he have to sign off on it. So you all wanted for the minister to sign off. So now go back to him and ask him to sign off on it for you. Send him the letter so you could get it. What they have done to this country is politicize every institution in this country. And this is the MO of a dictatorship.
Now, Kakal, I don't want to interrupt you talking about your constituency. I know that comes first, and that is foremost. I've spoken to you before. I know that is first and foremost to you. But you just made a statement there now that they politicize every institution. The institution I associate you with is the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. You spent almost 30 years there.
Yes.
There are certain things I don't expect you to say, because I know you'll always have your loyalty to the institution.
I have no loyalty to the institution.
Yeah.
I have loyalty to the people of this country.
Fine.
Not to the institution.
But I will tell you,
and no man in the institution.
I will tell you, as someone who has not been in it, I can speak from the point of view of a layman, as an observer, an outsider. It is not impressive.
Not at all. That's the worst the police force has ever been.
All I'm going to say to you is, boy, evidence of major cases, murder cases, disappearing, canine a canine unit exists, and the dog in the canine unit dies under the watch and care of the police, and nobody has an answer. Kagal, I want you to comment on what I'm saying as a layperson. There, you were in it, and do you understand why I have an issue? And look at
you should have an issue, and everybody in the country should be concerned, because if a dog could meet its demise in such circumstances, what about a human being?
Yeah.
Right? What about a human being? And one of the things I want to say, as it pertains to exhibits.
But before you go to the exhibits, Andre, the canine Tyson. There was a funeral service for Tyson day before yesterday. Was it yesterday?
I actually not really attend, but I passed through and saw what was happening.
And do you know the Minister of National Security and Prime Minister of St. Lucia was not present? I mean, I know he was in Babylon last night. Not last night, night before. Okay? He has time for those things, but he was not present. And many of the government officials were not. Okay, just talking about priorities now on focus. I saw the ambassador to France was there. The French ambassador was there, and that is the only person to my mind who gave a real emotional tribute to Tyson.
Yes, I don't think people have really understood who Tyson was. The actual worth of Tyson the dog, our canine, we consider him to be a police officer too, because there are certain qualities that Tyson possessed that human beings don't, and that is a sense of scent. He recovered several firearms and drugs and monies, as reported by the police. And for that dog to have died now I want to say it clear, 99% of our police officers are law-abiding, dedicated officers with integrity. You see the 1% that affiliated with the outside, they're the ones casting that shadow of doubt over the police force, and they know themselves. Our police force, I will say again, it's not as bad as it looks from the outside. There are few persons in there causing it to look that bad. A few persons. I work with officers already, and I can tell you, these officers, they have the country at heart. We just need leadership in that police force. They have the country at heart. And these very officers who have the country at heart are those who have been victimized.
But pardon me, Gagal, when, the Prime Minister, who is Minister of National Security, the Commissioner, and others tell me about they're not politicizing the police force. From my layman's observation, this police force has been politicized. And let me just say why I say so. When a minister of government who has nothing to do with security can give orders on television to the city police and the commissioner of police, and in some cases the orders were actually carried out, that is politicization of the force.
Let me say something to you. I heard certain pronouncements where police officers were giving me information and that and that and that.
Thank you.
Which is not.
Thank you.
It really casts another shadow over the police force, who have already had a shadow over it. So the morale.
When a minister of government can go on a talk show and say he has files speak so on individuals by the police, what are you talking about?
I said, Andre, I said to myself, we still have good police officers in the force. I know that. I know these officers, they they clench their fists and they really want to speak out, but they cannot speak out because of the level of victimization. Even the Police Welfare Association, I could clearly say, was dismantled. That one was sent on vacation. Common law was sent on vacation too, and just a whole heap of things happening. And I don't even want to go into the fire service, what happened with Shane Felix in the fire service too. So as I said, they're taking control of every institution so they could control. This, the Police Welfare Association, as I said, it was dismantled. That's the way they control. They control, because you not even find somebody from the police welfare coming and stand up for the officers. I said there was a God above. When the incident took place by the House of Assembly, and then the reporter stated that she was assaulted, I said, don't worry. A police officer that cannot see that go down that way will assist in showing the nation exactly what it is.
Yeah,
and they will come out. Let me say something to you.
Now, for the benefit of my listeners, you're talking about the incident with Dr. Ernest Healer and Eldridge Charles. Okay, all right.
You will try to fool the people some of the time. You can't fool them all the time. And these officers, as I said, they took an oath to protect and serve. And it hurts them to see that they have to be on the side of wrong. They have to right that wrong. Every officer will show them, and as a first set of votes I'll be counted, will show them that what they have been doing to this country was wrong.
Okay, but this is not just now. Let me remind Andre that this is not Meet the Minister, but let me just say this: the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of National Security, says he's providing you all the resources you'll need. I'm just quoting him. Let me hear your response to that.
When I first heard the Prime Minister, I was part of the Police Welfare Association. And part of the not really. Because we were just doing what you had to do for the police. Part of the police welfare.
There are different times of politics. Everything has politics. The church has politics in it,
Yeah. Okay. The Police Welfare Association, I was part of the executive, and we fought for the police officers. When the Prime Minister comes on national television and he speaks of certain things that he's doing for the police, it's not the Prime Minister that doing anything for the police. And I will take you to certain documents that I brought there. Number one, the most friendly government was the government of Alan Chastney, and I'll tell you why. In 2018, after we negotiated, we got from the government coverage, insurance coverage. This insurance coverage was for accidental death and dismemberment, and also we did our own medical, right, with the assistance. Yeah, we did our own medicals. So I have the document right here with me. Accidental death and dismemberment. Any officer, that's for 1,300 officers, would get $300,000 per person. That's if the officer probably had a hand severed in an accident. They died. That would go to their beneficiary.
And that was under
the United Workers' Party, Alan Chastney. Yeah. And we also had a group term life benefit of $100,000 per person. Accidental medical expenses reimbursements, $75,000 per person. And we also had so it was 1,300 persons. Do you know, as we speak, after the United Workers' Party left office, there has always been a delay in the payment to that policy. So I'm letting the officers know right now that their lives are in danger, and the insurance may not even cover them when they go out to protect the state. Andre, it's difficult for a police officer. Every time you leave your home, you do not know if you're coming back to your home. Especially those officers in Vieux Fort during the time of the escalated crime zone. That's what the Labour Party did to Vieux Fort, and I'll always mention that. That was the worst thing that they ever did to Vieux Fort. That stigma that was attached to Vieux Fort by the Labour Party. Because right now the same level of crime is happening in the north, and it is not deemed an escalated crime zone. And St. Lucians and Vieux Fortians need to open their eyes. I always say, if they had the powers to haul the Uranora International Airport to Castries, they would have done it. The only prime minister who's seen to develop the South is Alan Chasney. And when he came with Ojo Labs and ITEL, who's now employing so many persons in Vieux Fort, the Labour Party rallied to close them down. I want every young person who's working at ITEL and Ojo Labs to remember that. There is footage and there are documents to prove that they fought it tooth and nail. And right now, you all are employed there. That's what giving you all your food at your home and everything. I do not want to stray. I want to refer to the smoke screens, the bluffs, and the lies of the SLP administration.
Yeah, well, we need 2 programs on that, you know.
You're right, because to me, everything is wrong. The retirement of police officers. When I joined the police force, Andre, you would work for 20 years and you could take early retirement. When I joined the police force, that's the way it was. 20 years and you could get early retirement, you'd get your gratuity, and you'd get your pension coming. Your money's coming every month, which is your pension. The gratuity is the huge sum of money that you'd get. In 2003, that was abolished by the Labour Party. The officers that are listening, go and do your research. It was abolished by the Labour Party.
What is abolished? The gratuity?
What they did,
you couldn't retire at 20.
You couldn't retire at 20 anymore.
Yeah.
So they just sent everybody to NIC.
Right.
Now, it was abolished, and they sent everybody, all civil servants, to NIC. So it's not only the police officers, it was the fire officers and also the prison officers.
So that ended the gratuity then?
Exactly. So anybody who joined these services after 2003
would not get a gratuity.
They would not be getting that. They would be getting it under the NIC, and they had to work until 65. So no longer 20 years. So an officer could have retired for me, I could have retired at 46 years.
Just to be sure, they still got the gratuity eventually, no?
Nothing, Andre. I tell you, if you join after 2000, those who were there before 2003 would have still gotten the benefits. 65,
they will start getting the NIC.
The NIC
and that's it.
That's it.
NIC payments. That's
what it is.
Getting, yeah.
So there are certain officers, fire officers, and also bodily correctional officers. I hope they understand that, and I will make them understand that. Because sometimes they work in there and they're supporting the SLP, but they don't realize what's going to happen to them a few years down the line. Right? And that's one of the things that I want them to review. I couldn't remain in that car and fix that car. So I had to come out of the police force to try to get the remedies to these solutions that these officers are facing. So, okay, that was abolished. And then you had to go.
So you're saying if you are elected?
When I am elected.
Sorry, when you are.
Please correct yourself.
You're saying, yeah, sorry, but Mr. Calix, So when that happens, you will try to right that wrong. In other words, all these officers who didn't get the gratuity, you'll ensure that they get it. That's what you're saying?
We will review it. I have to be realistic, Andre. I cannot come there and lie to the people. I have to be realistic. We will review it to see what is the best possible way. The kind of spending I see that's happening there, you think you will go to the treasury and get any money? The kind of wastage that's happening there, Andre. Andre, that's a responsibility, you know. What I am doing there, I've sacrificed my job and coming in here. It's a big responsibility, you know. I know it's a responsibility. So when I get in there, I cannot tell the officers I'm going to just do that, but I'm telling them we need to review that. Can you think of a 65-year police officer who has suffered damage to his eyes, all his senses, wrestling with a young criminal? Or a fire officer carrying a heavy hose and out in some fire? Or he has to run out of an exploding house? Or a prison officer who's trying to close the cell of a man who is 3 times his size and younger than him?
So let me ask you, so why didn't the Police Welfare Association fight this?
Mr. Andrew Paul, I have said to you, and I'll continue telling you, there are persons that the SLP administration put in certain positions. They pay them to prevent this kind of revolts. So a lot of people there, like Judases in St. Lucia, they get paid and they fly with the SLP. I have been approached and I'll tell them I don't want their money. I can work for my money. I don't need your money. I serve only one master, and that's God. And the person I feel that is in alignment with him, that's where I will go. And I want us to pray a lot. Spider, we need to pray. Yeah. We need to pray. To the Christian community, we ask for your prayers. We ask for your prayers. We all know what's wrong in this country. And okay, let's go back to the 65 years. You mean to tell me in 2025, the SLP is coming back to the police and telling them we are reducing it to 60 years? You saw that? You saw that?
You know. But you see, that's the thing, you know.
And the officers, I don't know, the young officers who do not know of the history of that would sit there and feel like they're doing something for them. The SLP is not granting you all a favor. They were the ones who put it at 65.
It's just like they're telling the teachers that they're going to start
paying them. And that was there all the time. That's another thing I'm going to touch on. But they're lying so much that you cannot even catch up with their lies because so many lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. So you have to go back and research and come back and tell the people, hey, these guys are lying to you all. That was always there. Teachers always used to get paid during the summer.
And Andre, they told you, they're going to, like the UWP said, they're going to restore that 10-year lifespan of a passport. Because SLP came in. When you paid for a passport, you had a passport for 10 years. SLP came in and made it 5 years. UWP said they're going to return it to 10 years. They came now, of course, elections approaching, and they say they're going to make it 10 years a big deal. You're the one who removed it in the first place. You only put it back to where it was. You're not doing anybody any favors.
You're not doing anything. And as you asked me a question about resources, and when they went on television saying that they give the police officers all the things, I think the only thing that the Prime Minister said that he gave to the police that was new was water skis. We have not received the water skis as yet. We received some jet skis. But he was water skis. Because at the end of the day, you cannot replace vehicles. I want them to come and tell you how many vehicles were in the fleet of vehicles for the police and how many additional vehicles they gave the police. Don't replace vehicles and do a big show where we had... Andre, there were times I used to be at police stations where persons calling and we have no vehicles. So you come now and replace all these vehicles and showing like you did something, but you didn't grant us a favor by doing that. If you gave us at least 10 more vehicles and we see units have 2, and then we can do our work more effectively, I would say, bravo. Don't replace them and try to show the public that you're doing something.
At least he said he gave you a vest, bulletproof vest.
Bulletproof vest, let me touch on that for you. I have that right here. That bulletproof vest that the government is speaking about, it was part of the collective agreement between the police and the government of St. Lucia. Article 33, Health and Safety and Environment, in 33.1c, that's the article that we're referring to. The employer agrees to provide all police officers with the necessary clothing and equipment required to prevent injuries whilst at work. And it states clear, all police officers. So we were negotiating a high risk allowance. Well, police officers come to work and we say, boy, we come to work, and for the layman, huh? We come to work and then we feel like our lives are at risk all the time, and it's not like every other worker have that kind of risk attached to their job. So we are asking you to increase the risk allowance to police officers, right? And they said they cannot do that because, you know, it's a monthly thing. And when they did the calculations, it would be very high. So we came back and we said, well, okay, you all cannot give us the financing every month. Give us now bulletproof vests. So this is how the bulletproof vest thing came about. It was never through Jeremiah. It was never through Jeremiah Norbert. It was never through Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. And I want to tell them, stop speaking untruths to the people of this country. That was from the Police Welfare Association, who forego the monies that we were asking every month, and we said, give us bulletproof vests. But let me continue about the bulletproof vest thing. They have, up to now, they have not given the each police officer bulletproof vest. The bulletproof vest that's attached to, that I have, I purchased it on my own. And that's a really high level bulletproof vest. Because you know why I purchased the bulletproof vest?
Hold a second, Mr. Xavier. You're saying what you purchase on your own is of much more
high quality, yes.
High quality than
that is the battlefield bulletproof vest that I purchased, and I need not tell you the price.
Wow.
It carries the plates and everything. Andre, imagine a bulletproof vest is made out of cloth. Imagine a police officer wears that. He walks in the hot sun, he runs after criminals, he's sweating that. And what the officers used to do is just put it to dry and wear it. Another officer would come and wear it. It was not part of your personalized kit where every officer would have a bulletproof vest. When I saw that, I said, Andre, there is hepatitis B, so many other diseases that could be transferred from officer to officer. Why is they wearing that? And a lot of the officers were concerned. So we have, like, let's say 33 bulletproof vests at the police stations, or probably 40. That's at the headquarters, huh? Not at the smaller police stations. They would have less. And we have to serve at least, in the case of probably Vieux Fort police station, 100 plus police officers. Can you believe that? And if you heard me when I sang, the welfare would have talked to them and I would have sung. I had my platform to tell them, is it hygienic to share a bulletproof vest? And I asked them that question. It's not hygienic. And you're telling me you care about the police? You're telling me that you put another 2.5 levy on the backs of the citizens of this country, on the backs of the very police officers that you claim that you care about.
And some of that's supposed to
and they cannot get a bulletproof vest.
So what are some of the disadvantages of what the other police officers have that you obviously you have something a much better quality? So what are the disadvantages? There must be some disadvantages there, because if you say you bought something that's much higher quality and much more expensive vis-a-vis what they got.
Well, it's clear there are a lot of disadvantages. There is something that you call the every firearm. They have different calibers, and then they have different effectiveness. So there is something called the maximum effective range of a firearm. You're looking at the M16 would go really far, but the Glock, I think it is something about 150 meters at the Barretta, 9mm. So if you are shot at close range, you see these bulletproof vests they give there?
I get your point. Wow.
It will just slow down the bullet. It ain't doing nothing for you. The one that I have, sometimes it would block off an M16 round for you because it's military grade. Right? So that's the comparison. So this
again,
yeah.
Where's the Police Welfare Association?
Andre, I am very disappointed in our present commissioner of police. When I heard he was coming to the police force, I was so excited. He gave me an opportunity to work with him, and I'm so disappointed in this man. I believe that he is not acting on his own, because that's not the man that I knew. I think that he's being controlled by some powers, and he's not a man of his own in his capacity. I cannot understand why we, the Police Welfare Association, could not work alongside him. Because it happened in the time of Daisy, it happened in the time of Moshere, and so much was obtained, so much we made happen. During Moshere, I could clearly recall a lot of police officers did several courses during Daisy's time, a lot of courses. We did courses, and that was through the Police Welfare Association, because the Police Welfare Association said to them, sir, we do not have a proper functioning police academy. Through no fault of those who work there. I'm just saying we do not have that. What, do you think it's fair that you do not provide certain police officers with courses to advance themselves, and then call them during the promotion process and tell them that they need 8 to 10 courses? Are these courses related to policing? So if you tell me an officer go and do like 6 courses, he did biology, he did education, religious education, he did, bartending, and he comes with all these courses, is he eligible to promotion? So that's where the police welfare came, and they told them, okay, we're gonna provide the officers with these courses. And I was a beneficiary of these courses too, because what they would do, they would not give you courses, they would give their friends courses, and their friends, some of their friends would have like probably 14 courses, and those they don't like would not have 1 course. So automatically their friends would be promoted. Who giving them the courses to go on? You, that's in the executive giving them the courses, right? And then when some other officers who don't have, and these are hardworking officers, honest officers, they don't get the opportunities like other officers get. I had to leave even the service when I felt it was too slow. I did some courses with UE, I did some courses with Monroe College. I did my courses on my own, I paid it. If I had to do moonlighting to do it, I did it. Right? And as I was saying, the Police Welfare Association saw that gap, and they fixed it with these commissioners. But with this present commissioner, it returned to the very same thing.
But talking about
a breakdown of morale. And you could see it's just persons who speaking on behalf of the SLP that are getting promoted in the force. When we speak about the ills of what's happening in the police force, and I want to touch on that subject, several allegations were made against a particular member, high-ranking member of the police force by certain females. Some of them I work with them. And there was a particular incident I could never forget. One of the ladies that was working with me was traumatized to see that person coming close to them. And they had to face them every single day. Hats off to Miss Pelius, who took the decision to put that policy together before she left, before she exited the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And I've gotten calls from other police forces, and they hold her in high regards for that. From other police forces, my contacts call me and they tell me, Miss Pelios, they hold her in high regards. And that will be used as a model for the other police forces. So hats off, Miss Pelios. I'm telling you, some of these injustices that happen in the police force is straight from the government. Because at the end of the day, we need to understand, people, we have brothers, we have sisters, we have daughters, and we have mothers. We have aunts. And when they didn't put themselves in a position to be violated, and they are, we need to stand up with them. My mom always said to me, I have to respect women. And Andre, I like women. I think through my songs, I like women. I know you laugh. I like women. Andre, I don't know nothing about women. Even if somebody put themselves in positions so you could say certain things, you just need to respect them. And that's from God. Respect every woman. I am not a perfect person. I never profess to be the most perfect person on earth. But I know what's right from wrong. And I want to stay on the side of right. And no money can make me do what I know that's wrong. And as we speak here, I want to just speak about exhibits.
Right. I wanted to come to that. I really want to hear what you have to say about the evidence disappearing.
Let me say something to you.
And then returning, right?
Pardon?
And then returning.
Yeah.
Andre, I was an exhibit keeper. I want to say that I want the nation to know I was an exhibit keeper. And you do not give anybody the keys to $1 million worth of cocaine and firearms. The part that the part that I was in charge of was the exhibits that were not biohazardous. There was no human fluids or anything to do with the murders and blood and this thing. That's what I was in charge of, because those that have like fluids like semen and blood and they would keep them in a temperature regulated area. So it has to be it's another set of officers that deal with that, another exhibit keeper. I was in charge of just those that were non-biohazards. And during that time, Andre, I can tell you the system that's in place for exhibits, the most difficult thing to go missing in the police force is a piece of evidence. Exhibit. And I'll tell you why, Andre. The system.
You said the most difficult thing.
Difficult thing. An officer can go missing before a piece of evidence. A vehicle can go missing. A police vehicle can go missing in St. Lucia before a piece of evidence. And that is what the previous commissioners did put in place to make sure that they safeguard justice in this country. There is what you call a chain of custody. Chain of custody is where this exhibit is at the time, who it came from. There is somebody who is taking over and there is somebody that's handing over. And it is always recorded. So if you come to me as the exhibit keeper, you tell me I came for exhibit number whatever, I'll look at the court list and I'll see I'll not just give you the exhibit. I will look at the court list on the date you have that matter, and you did that to tender in evidence. All right? So I'll give it to you. I'll give you the exhibit. Before you take that exhibit, you look at the exhibit all around. It has to be sealed. And you'll make sure that the exhibit is intact. If the seal is broken, you may not take it. You'll say, but the seal is broken. I'm not taking that. And you'll report to the court the seal is broken. So I'm not involving in that. So the exhibit keeper will be held responsible. If the exhibit keeper handed over the exhibit to you and you bring it back with the seal broken, and it was not done by the prosecutor or the courts, and you bring it back to the exhibit keeper will note that you brought it. They might even call somebody to snap where you bring it in and everything, to have evidence that you were the one who brought it in. So they have a case where it's not me. So for you to tell me that exhibit went missing, I was just laughing when I heard that over the radio. But I'm saying myself, the commissioner should know better. The commissioner should not come and say these kind of things over the radio. If I was a commissioner of police and I'm telling you there were exhibits missing in the police force, I'll tell you how many persons were arrested, how many officers were arrested in the police force for the missing exhibits. If I can come and tell you there are missing exhibits and I cannot give you details as who was arrested, I would resign as the commissioner of police.
So what do you think could have happened that would have caused him to get it so wrong?
I will tell you what happened. And I might get taps in my head for that. Mr. DZ and Mr. Moshiri may tap me in my head for that. Mr. Moshiri was one of the commissioners that I worked with, that one of the wisest. And when he does these things, you'll just be laughing and smile. He had information of certain things that was happening in the police force. And what he would have done is to remove certain sensitive exhibits from one location to another, to prevent the very same thing that they wanted to do. And I hope they didn't tell them what the exhibit is. They just told them that the exhibit was found. And when the courts call for it, they will take it straight to the courts. We cannot hijack justice in this country. I've said it over and over again. In St. Lucia, we need to stand for what is right. Now, you know, some of the very persons that pass me on the road and they watch me and they say, Kakangasa, VUWP, me say, or whatever, you know, they SLB hacks to meet me and they tell me these things. They don't even know I'm protecting them. They don't even know I'm protecting them. Let's put things right in this country, man. Let's bring back this country.
But Ikaka, you mentioned the commissioner, but what also disturbed me is, in addition to what the commissioner said, that which was very disturbing to me, I heard a minister of government explaining where exhibits were kept and how exhibits have disappeared. And all of that. I'm talking about Richard Frederick. You know what I'm saying? It's standing in the house.
When I saw that clip, you know, if I was having a bad day, I laughed out so loud. I'm saying, like, does he know what he's talking about? Because
but he's supposed to know. And I want to stop here to say this.
Yeah.
This is a man who was a police officer. This is a man who is a lawyer. This is a man who is a legislator. If there's one person in St. Lucia who was supposed to know, he should.
But let me say something to you, and Andre and Spider, that you all don't know. The Labour Party machinery is so dangerous. What they did, when this exhibit went missing, there was a particular ex-police officer.
So they did go missing then?
When they claimed that it went missing.
Okay.
Because they said they found it after. And I told you why they would have found it after. Because it was shifted. To prevent what they wanted to do from happening. Right? So let me go there. Let me say that to you.
It was shifted, you say, Carl? It was shifted.
Andre, every institution have some characters that should not be in them. We all know that. But I always say we have about 99% of the police officers are law-abiding. They are very hard-working officers with integrity. I will continue saying it. But there are a couple of them, you know already. The police force is a product of the society. We must understand that. Right? As I was saying, the exhibit itself, when I heard that the buildings were demolished Andre, that was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Because I knew someone called me and he told me, because I was in traffic, and you know that ex-officer is trying to say to the Labour Party camp, and they did post something about me. They didn't push on my face, but I was waiting for them because I know, Andre, you'll get some serious lawsuits coming out, and you'll hear about it. I'll come on the program and tell you. Because they feel they could hide behind Michael Kovac and Mama Liba and Mama this and say things about people. I want them to know that there is what you call cyber crimes. And when you feel you could, everything I see, I have proof for it, and I can prove it. When you feel you could just come and lie on people and create certain things, there is an IP address to Michael Kovac, and there is an IP address to Mamai Liba, and there is an IP address to all Sweaty Pam, all of them. And they need to be careful. Yeah.
So going back to Tyson, you'll always be a police officer. So just for our elucidation, what is the protocol involved in having the K9? What is the
before I go to the K9, I was just telling you about the police officer was trying to link me to the missing exhibits. 2 days after, they were trying to create a story to show where Kix Xavier was the one
who shifted it,
who took the exhibits and destroyed.
Okay, now I understand what you say.
God gave them less than 2 days. Look the exhibits. And I always tell them, Andre, God is moving in this country. And I want to thank the Christians, they are praying. God is moving in this country. And all stains they try to put on people will come out. I saw something about Mr. Guy Joseph this morning and I laughed. Some Michael Kovac person or whoever posted something where Guy had some nonsense they spoke of. And every comment under that guy said, you're lying. That. I was so happy to see. Because, I mean, that's just what they do. When they can't get anything on you, it's character assassination.
Sorry. So, Kakal, if I understand you correctly, you're saying this thing that happened there with evidence missing was all about you?
Andre, let's not go there. Because they're trying to discredit me now because I was a police officer. They want to show, well, I was corrupt, so persons could look at me as a corrupt person. So that's what it is. When they cannot get anything on it, I always tell them my life is an open book. My life is an open book. Whatever you see that Kakal doing or Kakal get or how Kakal is living, I can show every single cent where it came from. Right? That's me. And I do stand for what is wrong. Even persons in my community that I have arrested, I will tell them again. Not because I'm going up for politics to think that I'm going to come and tell you I'm sorry, I want your vote. If you do the same thing again, and I was a police officer in your presence, I'll arrest you again. We have to do what's right in this country.
Well, Mr. Wentworth, if this is correct, that's dangerous.
It is
yes,
dangerous.
it is.
Andre,
and that's the way the guys don't care about that, The guys will do anything to stay in power.
That's the point. And you see, the situation we're facing is a lot more serious than people think. Because
yes,
Andre, do not think that the K9 Tyson just died just so. It wasn't a natural death. There's a reason for that. Why would somebody want to kill a dog that is more of a detective than a human being can ever be? Andre, you may not see the connection with you and I may not see the connection between our lives and Tyson. But the gun that Tyson detected could have been the gun that was on the street that would have shot me. You understand what I'm saying? Who will want that dog dead? You and I will not, because we are law-abiding citizens and we're looking for protection. The Minister of Crime Prevention said that there is a high-level crime network in this country. Jeremiah Norbert said that. The question I want to ask is, who are the people in that high-level crime network? Because it is not an accident where you're telling me, common sense will tell you the more you can beef up your security, the better it is. You're going to dismantle a K9 unit. All of a sudden, your scanner's not working. Andre, you can tell me it is accident, you can tell me what you want, there is a reason for that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot we just take for granted in this country, but there's a lot behind that.
Andre, one of the things, he's so correct. One of the things, I need to speak to the country about national security. I have a document that I'm preparing that I need to speak to the country about national security. If you're serious, we'll go about executing some of these things as soon as we come into office. And I want to say thanks to the leader of the opposition, which is our leader, for the SOS 7-point plan, where he find it necessary and fitting to bring back several dogs to St. Lucia and scanners. It is simple science. Most of what that we have creating all the chaos in St. Lucia is imported. So it's necessary to bring in border control. Tyson was, I would say, a leader. The dog, the canine unit is a leader in that. The things that we cannot detect, they can.
I was asking you a while ago to explain the protocol involved. In other words, a handler, is it one person that is supposed to be responsible for that?
Andre, you believe it's the handler that touches
Well,
dog?
I wonder, how does it work?
The handler, I don't believe it's the handler that touches dog. And as I said to you, I'll continue to tell you, 99% of police officers are law-abiding. And I'm telling you, every time that handler probably see what's happening there, it's probably just...
Although sometimes, Andre and Kakala, I must say that sometimes some of us must take a stand and speak out.
Yeah. And if it was me, I would have tell them bullface, sir. Come, y'all come and take responsibility for your actions. Right? And every time they pass the blame, the high level persons commit their crimes, is a subordinate that paying for it. And they cannot even speak. They have no voice. When we look at countries like, I was doing some research, I read about El Salvador, and I read about Singapore, and what they did to bring down the crime rate. It started with the high-level officials. Because if you could see a high-level official eating rice and corned beef at Borderley, you'd not want you're going to commit a crime.
Yeah.
But they believe they're untouchable. They believe they are gods. They believe they are gods. But I'll tell them the same God will teach them that they are not God.
But you see, many of us ordinary citizens must realize that we are inadvertently facilitators, because we sit by, we know, we do not speak, we do not say anything. And I understand why some people are afraid to speak, Andre, because it can be dangerous. But if we all take a stand, the criminals can never overpower all of us. I mean, there was a murder in Grosley. I mean, we don't talk about these things anymore. We came on a show a whole 2 hours already. We're speaking. Nobody spoke about that. That's not news. I always tell you that, Andre. Don't come here, expect me to come here and talk about somebody was killed. I will quicker say the sun is shining, because that happens every day. A guy was killed in the middle of Grosley, where the Friday night street party is taking place. You understand what I'm saying? And I've not heard of any arrest or anything like that. You know, I went on the scene yesterday. There are cameras right there. Camera pointing this direction, one pointing this direction, and a big round one right down. Okay? But I am prepared to bet that there will not be an arrest. That is what the criminals know. Now, Kakal, I want to ask you, that is a form of surveillance. So what's happening with that?
How you mean a form of surveillance?
The cameras.
Oh, you're talking about the ones that were...
On the poles, on the street.
The one that were installed by the government of St. Lucia?
That's right.
Well, yeah, they're being monitored. They're being monitored.
And we don't have an arrest yet?
Well, you see, we need to understand, let me say that to the... we need to understand, let me say that to the public, we need to understand that the police officers are not gods. There are certain, they have the limitations. So sometimes they might have, and before you effect an arrest, you must have concrete evidence that that is the person who committed the crime. So investigations take a little time. Investigations take a little time. Yeah.
I'm not going to challenge you. I have no experience compared to you, training or anything like that. But my street knowledge tells me too that before an arrest is effected, they check in who it is first.
Okay? I hope not.
You know?
I hope not.
Because let me tell you something. I'm not being paid to do any law enforcement or anything like that. Many of the people around the place don't know, but the people on the street are talking. They know. And if I know, how come the authorities don't know? You know. And so we have to be mindful that, because when you made a point there, when there's corruption at the top, it will filter down.
I said that, and everybody. Andre, I made a statement, and like some persons came and they asked me, "So why are you making such statements? Why would you say don't politicize crime?" And there are criminals in politics. But it's hand in hand. How you want to separate it? It's hand in hand.
You see, these are the things.
It's like
that
mixing sugar in water. You can come back and take the sugar out of it, unless you probably just boil all the water and let it evaporate.
You know, that's the thing we do, you know, and that's what makes us facilitators. We make excuses, we bring up smoke screens, or that kind of thing, and we do not expose people. You know, you'll come here and you're saying, you know, UWP official said something. Why don't you just spider cell it, put the person on the spot? You understand what I'm saying? And we have to get to that point.
Especially when you have evidence that was said, nothing can happen to you.
Exactly.
Yes. So, as I said, I knew you touched on the SOS 7-point plan that Alan Chasney, our visionary leader, spoke of on our rally on the 7th in Meekwood. Vieux Fort North stands a lot to gain from this, because you're an agricultural belt. Yeah. And when I heard that, I was like, wow. For the first time, our farmers who paved the way for us in Vieux Fort North, who did so much for us in Vieux Fort North, who are now suffering because they have no income, could get some monthly allowance to help themselves. And I thought of even the healthcare, the universal healthcare plan that we have. It could benefit them too. I thought of the removal of the dredging fees of the
that'll benefit your people.
Roseau Dam, John Compton Dam, to give us in the south a little relief on the water bill. So that in itself, that little $30, how much is it, Mr.?
Well, it's 10% of your bill.
Of the
so
bill. Okay.
Depends on how much your bill is.
Yeah, okay, 10%. So if I'm paying like probably $100, $200, at least you could still have $20 to do something more. Although the price of bread has increased and $20 yeah, so I saw that in a way. I say, wow, that will directly reach the people who are mostly in need of that kind of help in my constituency. I also saw the removal, I also heard of the removal of the health and security levy. Wow, wonderful. Now a lot of people ask me when I hit the ground, I speak to them, they ask me, but where all that money coming from? And I tell them I could understand why you ask where all that money coming from, because there have been so much wastage by the SFA administration. We see $200 million thrown away in St. Jude's. So I could understand, but let me tell you how that money coming, especially in the South. The ideas of our visionary leader to give us our cruise ship port in Vieux Fort, bring back economic activity in Vieux Fort. And that birthing port in Vieux Fort will spin things around in Vieux Fort and give young persons an opportunity for a job in Vieux Fort, like Alan did during his last period of, I'll put 3, if you minus COVID, how much it would be?
If you minus COVID,
last
3 years.
Term, about 3 years in the last 3 years. Because I have to be fair to him, I can't put COVID in that. He gave us job opportunities in the South with ITEL. He gave us with the horse racing track. He gave us with Wojo Labs. He gave us opportunities in the South. And I'm saying in 3 years. Because when you just take over the government, so there's 100 days, you have to look at how things are happening and then for you to start off doing some things. I saw that these plans for the South that we have will spin up a generic TV in the South. And the young people of Vieux Fort, I want them to listen. I'll be having programs upon programs. I want them to listen. Thank you that a lot of them right now, they are getting onto my media platforms, and I'll be speaking to them. I'm not here to criticize any government. I will show where they are not doing what they're supposed to do to improve your lives in the Vieux Fort Basin, Vieux Fort North and Vieux Fort South. And we could extend it to Micoud South, Micoud North, even Dennery. And I'll go to Labrie, Choiseul, and Soufrière. Andre, there are persons coming from Castries to work in Vieux Fort. Itel and Ojo Labs. So that's what we want to happen. Too many of us have to leave Vieux Fort to go and work up north. And by the time we check ourselves, we start living up north because of the transportation system and the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to give you the jobs right in Vieux Fort. We want you all to enjoy your communities and stay around your families. And we want to improve Vieux Fort. We could look at the spin-offs on this kind of project, that massive project that we intend to do in Vieux Fort. And I am telling you, if people know Cacao, that's one thing about me. I will stand up in any organization, stand up for what is right, and to bring the people of Vieux Fort relief. We have Airbnbs who stand to benefit, because when persons come to board the cruise ship, they might come a day or two before. We have the nightlife, the bars, the restaurants, all that to benefit. We have young persons themselves. I mean, if the cruise ship is being boarded in Vieux Fort, you know what would happen? I mean, we would have even a better opportunity to for ourselves and our children to work on these cruise ships too, right? We want to create that kind of environment of growth and development in the South, where persons could be self-sustainable and don't depend on the government for a gas tank, don't depend on the government for a grocery voucher and sanitary napkins. And this is very humiliating for any female in St. Lucia.
You see, the thing I find is the amount of...
Sorry, we'll have to start wrapping up.
Yeah. The amount of, untruths that the government is bold-faced peddling to people. Now, you see, and that is why I like that saying that I use on my other show. It goes like this. That's a saying from Albert Einstein. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. And that's a fact. I mean, just look at a simple thing. And you ask yourself why. The Labour Party keeps repeating it on a daily basis, that Alan Chastanet stayed in government for 6 years. I mean, everybody knows that that's not true. But they keep repeating it so much so that the hacks are repeating it as well. I mean, they know that the law provides that you go up to the anniversary date and 90 days more. So if the election was on 28th or 26th of July in 2021, you can go up to July 26th next year and an additional 90 days, and that is legal. Of course, you have the prerogative of calling it any time before. We didn't even go up to the 90 days, but they're saying Alan spent more than 5 years in office and didn't call the election when he should have, and so on. That's the and remember, we had COVID at the time and we had to be gauging to see how safe it would be and all of that. But when you have a government telling lies about everything, GPH, and there are different kinds of lies. There's a bold-faced lie that you heard a prime minister tell you every now and then. People like Richard Frederick tell you every now and then. And there's lies by omission that Ernest Hiller is famous for. Like, he will not tell you how many of our passports were sold. That's deceiving the people, misleading the people, bluffing the people by omission. That is information we are supposed to have. Those are things that you're supposed to tell us. And so when these things happen, you have to see those people for what they are. They are dishonest people. They are deceitful people. And you cannot trust people like that.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you now. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Kagal, I will give you the 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay. I want to speak directly to the people of Vieux Fort North. We're talking about Kako Vigé, Opikompiro, Bellevue, and Grace. I have found a special love for Grace in particular because of what they go through. Because you need to hit the ground and see exactly what are the challenges of the people in these communities. And we have some of the most deplorable roads in Grace, and there was a project that I started in Grace even before, just after I was selected to be the candidate for Vieux Fort North. We started a field for the Grace Combined School. Can you believe, Andre, that plot of land was handed over to the school for over 15 years, and nothing was done to that plot of land by the current parliamentarian? Nothing. I know they have sent the DCA to try to stop the project. They have sent planning. They have contacted the police. So I will not disclose too much on the program as to how I came about getting that program going. The people of Grace have suffered for too long. The school is about a mile away from the other playing field. The children have to walk. These children have to walk a mile to the playing field. I'm talking about children in kindergarten to about grade 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they have to walk down to the field for physical education. Right? And there are no sidewalks on the Grace Road in the hot sun. So you find it's very hazardous. Buses flying up, going down, a lot of dust, poor road conditions. They may have to get away a pothole, hit your child. So I find it fitting to just get that field started for the persons of Grace. And the amount of backlash I got, and I know it's the SLP hacks that coming about trying to prevent it from happening for them. If these people love the people of Grace and the people, you think these people would come at me? Instead of coming at me, they would come and join me and help me instead of criticizing. So that's one of the projects I have for Grace. We have some other things coming up which I don't choose to say on the program, because whenever you say something, they're running out with it. They come in and listen to you, and they're running out with the ideas. So Grace, and we have here for the farmers, as I said, the SOS 7-point plan, they say, I just know that will transform my community, because it's an agricultural belt that has been neglected for so long. We have the farmers abandoning their fields. So right now we are trying to bring relief to them, and we also have some other plans for them, with the planting of certain crops and agro-processing, just to create economic activity, employment for the people. Bellevue, we're looking at the field in Bellevue that they place the lights on. It's too small to even accommodate the lights, and it's polymaintained. Montcayenne, we're looking at the field in Montcayenne. It's waterlogged. When they heard that I was coming to visit the field, they went and tried to cut the grass. Mm-hmm. There were trees that the weed eater could not cut. For so long it has been abandoned. And then I'm telling you, Andre, it's laughable, but then it's not, because you need a boost, like a boot itself, farmer's boots, to go onto that field, and you have to watch your leg because it might break on the field, because it'll go down like 2 feet in mud. That's what you give into the people of Vieux Fort North. The road conditions in Vigé, Fort-Samy, Fondézy, Saint-Urbain, all that surrounds the minister's house. Places in Bellevue, Hope Estate, all that is part of the community. But the minister road going to his house is like carpet. And as I said on the platform, we have some young ladies, beautiful young ladies from the south. You know that, Andre. they go to work with 3 pairs of footwear: the boots for the mud, and the slipper when they hit solid ground, and when they reach the pitch surface, they wear the high heels. All that I want to tell the people of Vieux Fort North. the neglect that you have received for over half a century, because nobody from the UWP has ever won the Vieux Fort North seat, is about to come to an end. And you young people, I want you to tell your parents that voting is not hereditary. Make informed decisions. You do your research, unbiased research. You go on credible information before you make a decision. Because I'm telling you, after I leave that program there, you will see things on Facebook and Instagram. But I stand by what I say, and I have proof in everything that I say here.
Okay, Mr. Matut.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Kakal, we want to thank you for coming to meet the opposition this morning and being our guest. Andre, I want to thank you as usual. If I can say, you're my sparring partner. So, I want to thank all of those who are listening, those who are in the diaspora and around St. Lucia. We are happy that you joined in today. So please join us again next week, Thursday when we're back. But in the meantime, you can join us on Sunday when we'll have Sunday Live in the constituency of Ancillary Canneries. This time we'll be at the Roseau Combined School, and we'll be bringing you Sunday Live. And on Monday, you can join me on Hot 7 TV for another episode in Like It Is. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. All the best, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mantut, and thank you, Mr. Xavier. This has been Meet the Opposition, heard and seen on Rev-Up St. Lucia every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Okay, so this is the end of my stint here for today. Thanks for the company. We have Kina coming on next. She'll be with you until 3 this afternoon, and during that time, we have the healing process with Phil and Claire Leon. That's coming up at 11:30 this morning. Then Zen the DJ takes over from 3 this afternoon until 5. Then from 5 until 6 is going to be Powell Politic with Mary Polius. That's from 5 until 6 this evening. So do enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Andre Paul saying so long.